Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Vikings fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. I am Kyle Smith, joined as always by Adam Carlson.
I got first again. Ha, suck it, Mr. West.
And Mr. Kyle West.
No, I'm Adam Carlson. You got it backwards. I'm Adam Carlson.
Don't worry, next week you're going first.
We'll see about that.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 272, Catch 22. If you guys don't understand that reference, dig a little deeper. It's like Ace Ventura. I'm not back in 5 minutes. Wait longer. We're going to talk about the game. We had a home game, which we won Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of drama and controversy in that game, which we'll get to in a little bit. But, yeah, dedicating this one to Mr. Harrison Smith because he had a game. But before we get into the game analysis and breakdown, let's talk about some quick hits. Story: Teddy Bridgewater has been cleared to return to the team. He's expected to be removed from the PUP list and practice tomorrow on Wednesday, since we are recording today, Tuesday, October 17th. So this is an exciting week for Viking fans. We're going to talk about this as well later in the show, so I won't break it down too much. But I know I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
We also got news that Teddy's going to be speaking to the media on Thursday, which is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, although we should clarify, I kind of wrote that wrong. He can practice on Wednesday, but they have 21 days before they actually have to remove him from the PUP list. So it's not like he has to come up from it immediately. I know there's been a lot of people that have been, is he going to play on Sunday? Is Teddy going to play on Sunday? So not quite. Like, they have 21 days. Zimmer made it pretty clear that they're going to go easy on him. They're not going to throw the boat at him as soon as he gets out there on the field. So I expect him to take full advantage of the full length of time before they take him off the PUP list. But he can practice on Wednesday, and that is a great first step for Teddy.
Now, Teddy has also been working with his trainers and studying the playbook on his own side of the field because he's not allowed to be practicing on the same field as the team. So he's got his own little area over there. And according to the next quick hit that we've got here, Mike Zimmer has said he's good. He's been taking the script every week and running it by himself on the other field, so he'll be ready. Teddy's smart. That's something that Vikings fans have never had to worry about. Teddy Bridgewater has always had the football intelligence that made him a special player. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with having the desire to be great. He has both those things in droves. And for Teddy Bridgewater, right now the only question is he ready physically to take on the NFL? And for now, I don't think the Vikings are in any rush to get him into a situation. Case Keenum's holding down ship pretty well. And let's take a look here because the Vikings have games coming up against the Ravens next week, then the Browns in London, then it's the bye week. And by then, the 21 days will pretty much be over. So we are looking at possibly him being activated after week 9, which is the bye week, heading into week 10 against the Redskins. And then we'll probably see him as either the backup or the starter, depending on how things are going at the time. But this is an exciting time to be a Vikings fan because right now we've got Case Keenum and Kyle Slaughter, and you can't really feel too great with Kyle Slaughter as the emergency guy.
Mm-hmm. I expect them to take full advantage of the 21 days because it's been a while since he's had any kind of action. So this is essentially preseason time for Teddy Bridgewater coming up, as much as they can replicate that within practice.
He's also, I believe, been taking the virtual steps too, which the Vikings are one of the teams in the NFL that does the virtual training.
What do you mean virtual?
The VR stuff, man.
I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, the Vikings have been doing that for since the start of last season.
Oh, cool.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Fun times.
That's pretty cool. Just to chime in on that a little bit. A lot of people think that Teddy's going to be in the mix to start like Sunday. That's not going to happen. There's two reasons why. Number one, like Adam was saying, he's got to practice first. He hasn't had practice with the team in over a year. So that would be very, very stupid. Number one, because he's going to be very rusty, trying to get in sync with the receivers. And number two, you want to ease him into practice. And that's what Mike Zimmer was talking about doing. You don't want to rush him into, any kind of situation where there's any possibility he could get hurt again. Remember, this is a non-contact knee injury. So it's going to go nice and slow. I expect, like Adam was saying, if you want to think that there might be real Teddy possibilities, maybe after the bye week. We still have to get past the Ravens, travel to London, play the Browns, and then have a bye week. So we're looking at almost another month before Teddy's name is really going to be mentioned. But just the news is like a headline grabber. This is, Teddy Bridgewater back with the team.
Now, there might be some people listening that are saying, why aren't you guys talking about Sam Bradford? The reason why I'm not talking about Sam Bradford right now is because I am still very much questioning just how severe this knee injury is, when he will actually be good enough to go, because last time that he thought everything was good to go and the team thought things were good to go, he was absolutely not good to go.
I got a question for you guys, just thinking about it right off the top of my head. Let's say, spoiler alert for the next quick hit, too, Aaron Rodgers is probably out for the season thanks to the Vikings. And I don't mean that in like a ha-ha way, because it sucks when any player goes down. We know that of all teams. But let's say this, for instance, because we're only going into Week 7. We've still got 10 more weeks of football. So let's say Case Keenum rides the ship out for the rest of the season. Let's say we make the playoffs and we win the NFC North. If Sam Bradford is fully healthy for the playoffs, you guys go with Sam Bradford in the playoffs?
Ooh.
No, because I don't like that. I think that if you've rode Case that far and he's helped lead the team to the playoffs, I'm not a fan of, well, now we're going to pull him out and we're going to put in Sam Bradford, who hasn't played in X amount of weeks.
So you didn't like it when the Broncos brought in Peyton Manning and didn't roll with Brock Osweiler?
Blah, that's Peyton Manning. We don't have Peyton Manning. We have an injured Sam Bradford. That don't count.
Same kind of situation, man.
That's completely different. No, that's way different, Adam.
I don't know.
That should spark some controversy. We have quite the quarterback carousel going on in Minnesota. But back to the last quick hit that I was mentioning. So Aaron Rodgers is known widely around the league, if not the best, the second best quarterback in the league. We can all agree on that. He was kind of flushed backwards and to his right out of the pocket this past Sunday. Anthony Barr, I'm not going to call it a late hit because he was only a step away, but it was just a little bit after the throw was thrown.
He was tackled.
He was tackled. It was a full-on man's tackle, and unlike the 2013 injury to the left side of his collarbone, this is actually in his throwing arm and throwing side on the right side, and it's broken. It's been confirmed by Mike McCarthy and all the guys at the Packers organization. So
needs surgery.
Aaron Rodgers is probably out for the year, thanks to Anthony Barr. I'm going to say it right now. I saw a lot of stuff on Sunday that pissed me off because I saw a lot of things that we as Vikings fans got when Teddy Bridgewater went down. There was a lot of laughter. Like on Facebook, you can react to it. A lot of people laughed when that happened. And I think you can turn your mic down for this one because I'm going to curse and it's going to be bad. But I think that's really fucked up. And I don't think that you should wish that on anybody. I've joked about it before saying, man, I wish Aaron Rodgers would just break his leg, But he's one of the most consistent as far as at his position, one of the best, and he's most consistent at it. So just from a Vikings fan and an NFL fan perspective, I wish him a speedy recovery. However, on the flip side, I didn't like the fact that he was cursing out Anthony Barr afterwards. Kyle West pulled up a good tweet today from a Packers-Vikings game a while back. There's a little bit of unfair treatment to the higher caliber quarterbacks, and I agree with the refs on this one. I don't think it was a dirty hit. I don't think it was an illegal hit. I don't think it was late. But I didn't like how he reacted to Anthony Barr, and it's just football, man. Sometimes it happens. Maybe stay in the pocket next time.
I think it's a situation where Aaron Rodgers knew that his shoulder bone, his collarbone and everything, I think he knew that something was messed up, and he was just really frustrated. That's what I clocked it up to. I do see that, it was a legal hit. He held out his elbow weird and came down wrong. And you see it happen all the time during the winter when normal people are walking on the sidewalk. They'll stick out their arm or their elbow and get themselves hurt in ways that, they should have just, braced for the hit. But, when you're falling to the ground, it's hard to think like that because you want to try to support yourself or cushion your fall with your arm. And it's not always the best thing to do. But now the Packers are in a bad situation. I won't say because of Anthony Barr, because this play could have happened on any team with any players. It's just a situation where it happened in this game against the Vikings. It was a clean tackle right in the numbers area where it should have been. He brought him to the ground. He didn't drive him into the ground like some people are saying. I didn't see any extra oomph or anything like that. He didn't launch himself. He didn't use his helmet. I didn't see any problem with it, but I do hate that the Vikings did get a win in this game with having an injured Aaron Rodgers, because I want to see the Vikings beat the Packers, both teams at full strength, And that's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Barr is a big athletic guy. He's a big old linebacker. And so I don't think that he intentionally tried to drive him into the ground any harder or any more than what he would on any other quarterback or player in the league. That's just how he plays the game. But of course, like, you should try to injure quarterback. But I mean, it is Aaron Rodgers. It is a division rival. You do want
you get a chance to hit a quarterback, you take it.
Yeah, you take that shot to hit him and to make him know that, hey, this isn't a soft Vikings defense that you're playing against. Like, you want to let him know that, hey, you're playing against the Vikings defense. The same as what that tweet, and I tweeted it out on our Facebook page, where the Packers defense, they were playing against Teddy Bridgewater, and good grief, I mean, someone goes low, someone goes high, there's helmet to helmet. They wrap him up, they drive him in the ground. I mean, and this is a whole nother subject that you could open up here, but you look at the quarterbacks that you're allowed to do that to. Teddy Bridgewater's black. Michael Vick was black. A lot of these other ones get absolutely blasted, and there's no flags on that one. And Aaron Rodgers just gets, like, shoved a little bit, and it's a flag, it's a penalty, whatever. But that's a whole other subject that we don't even want to begin to go down. So it's interesting to see what gets called a penalty and what doesn't get called a penalty. It was a clean hit.
Now, why is this such big attention? Because of a man that we've all grown to either disrespect, hate, or love the entertainment value of, Mr. Skip Bayless, who wants to initiate a rule in the NFL where you can't hit a quarterback at all if it's behind the line of scrimmage.
How? In that case, Tim Tebow would be the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Can you imagine a quarterback sneak? It's like you can't hit him until he goes past the line of scrimmage.
How?
You can have first down every time.
You just drop back every single play, just keep dropping back, and just keep pump fake, and just keep on pump faking. That would be so... You can't take this hit out of the game.
No. There's no way around this.
I'll say that right now. If that was ever to go into effect, I wouldn't watch. And I mean that. I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, I'm not going to watch about the kneeling for the anthem, blah, blah, blah. But if it becomes that's night and day from what used to happen 30 years ago. No, I'm not watching it anymore.
Skip says, well, if they protect the punter through his actions, why don't they protect the quarterback through his? And the problem is that the players on the punt coverage team aren't looking to hit the punter. Right. That's not what they're there to do.
And also, you have to protect the punter because his leg is extended.
How does that jackass still have a job? He's Skip Bayless, you can kiss my ass. You're stupid.
Although I love Shannon Sharp. You guys listen to Shannon Sharp?
I'm not a fan of him either.
He's amazing.
I don't really like Shannon that much, but I agree with what he said on this whole subject. He said, hey, look, I wasn't a defensive player, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I get a chance to knock a quarterback out and it's legal, I'm going to take his head off.
You take it. Yeah.
It was like, that's pretty graphic, but, I mean, I understand the mentality. So one of the rare times that I actually agree with Shannon Sharp. But instead of being that, I wanted to let everybody know that we all had our opinions on this. Wish Aaron Rodgers a speedy recovery. We'll play him next week. And
yeah, for sure.
If any team knows about quarterback injuries, it's us, and we don't wish that on anyone because it happened so often, so recently. But let's transition to our quarterback because I want to read this one because this is news to me, and I'm agreeing with Adam because Adam said this in our group chat the other day between the three of us. Jay Glazer via Twitter: Sam Bradford's knee injury is much worse than people know. This could be career-ending. He's been in New York City for the past week getting treatment on his knee to bring the swelling down. Adam, you want to tell everybody what you told us in the chat the other day? Because I'm starting to agree with you.
I don't think that any team can put enough faith in Sam Bradford to call him their starting quarterback with a condition like this. They can keep nagging, can flare up at any time. Sam Bradford really becomes an ultimate wild card where he could start some weeks and look fine and not take a hit, and then the next week he's sitting out because his knee's flamed up. You can't rely on a quarterback like that. You really can't. And it puts him into being an unreliable backup who might not be available some weeks. And any way you look at this situation with Sam Bradford, it's not a good thing. There's no real positive long-term answer to this. And until there is, there's no way that the Vikings can put all their eggs into his basket. It's just not possible. So any of the quarterback controversy that people have been talking about down the road between Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater kind of gets washed out by this, because despite Sam Bradford playing at a very high level when he was with the Vikings, and whether or not he gets to return and play some games this season, I don't see the Vikings being able to trust him going forward with this nagging knee injury that could just potentially screw up any potential offensive plans that the team may have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Adam.
This is shocking, but I won't say surprising. You don't think that going into the season, especially after week 1, when we finished that game against the Saints, I know a lot of us were on cloud 9. We're like, everything is going to click perfectly. He didn't have contact, much like Bridgewater's injury, and it just keeps coming back. We're not even looking about him coming back for the season. Adam's right. He may not have a job after this year. I don't feel bad for him financially. He's made a ton of money in his career.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine financially, but it just sucks, man. I'm 29 years old. Me and Sam Bradford are the same age, and he's still got a lot of life and everything ahead of him. And I think the worst part, and I think you guys will agree with me, not only the guys in the podcast group, but on the page listening to as well, and all the YouTube listeners, when it's no fault of your own, and it's not like a suspension where someone is domestically violating someone, or somebody's doing drugs. This is just, a weird injury, and it was no fault of his own. That's the worst kind, because you can't really predict it. Those guys that make those bad choices, that's on them. But Sam's been a good guy on and off the field, and I feel really bad for him for this. I hope it's better, and I hope it's not what we're talking about.
He's a passionate player too, and you hate to see those guys that want to be on the field not be able to do it. And that's one reason why it's so hard to watch Teddy sitting on the sideline watching football games, because he wants to be in there so bad, and he just can't. He's not there. And that's going to be what Sam Bradford is for the rest of his career, is he's going to be sitting there on the sidelines wanting to play, but his knee's saying no.
Well, it's just so depressing. The show just took such a sad turn. Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. Sam Bradford might not have a job, and now we're all sitting there like, I hope Teddy's okay.
Right.
But I think we all, at least us at the podcast page, agree that Case Keenum should be the guy going forward until either Sam is 100%, or if Teddy just comes in and lights it up and they say, hey, look, we got to play Teddy again. But it's going to be a while before either of those come in. So stay tuned, because we will keep you posted within the shows, and also within the podcast pages on Twitter, Facebook, and all that. But now that we've gotten through all these quick hits, let's talk about this game, because the Vikings beat the Packers this past Sunday. And with this win, 23-10 over the Packers, we are tied at 4-2 in the division. And since we beat Green Bay, we now sit atop, if you look at the standings. So Chicago did win against the Ravens, which gives me hope for us to beat them Sunday, because they went to Baltimore and beat them.
The Ravens have not been looking great.
Yeah, the Ravens have kind of been up and down. I don't know what the deal is with Joe Flacco either. I think they should probably get ready to move on from him, but that's just my opinion. But then Detroit also, if you guys didn't know, Detroit played a game against New Orleans Sunday, and neither of the defenses came to town, so that was cool. I think
that was a 52-38. Goodness gracious!
That's what, 90 points? That's crazy.
But the Minnesota Vikings beat the Green Bay Packers 23-10 in front of the crowd at US Bank Stadium, and after the first quarter or so, it really got to be quite lopsided. The Vikings dominated total yardage, 351 to 227. They won the time of possession, 32:09 to 27:51. There were still quite a few penalties in this game, which is kind of frustrating. 15 total penalties for 157 yards, 158, somewhere in there. 5 total turnovers. So it wasn't a clean game. It was quite sloppy and messy. But the Vikings were able to come out with a win because they were more efficient. Both teams only converted 4 third downs each in this game. The Packers were 4 for 17, and the Vikings were 4 for 12. This wasn't a pretty game at all. And there were times when you hoped that the Vikings were going to put their foot down and just keep scoring on Green Bay and put the game out of reach. But the game never really got completely out of reach. The Vikings started to play prevent defense, allowing Green Bay to run the ball up the middle, complete short passes. And at that time, they were only up 2 scores. So by then, it was nowhere near over. And we've seen too many Vikings games in the past where a lead of a 2-score lead just evaporates like that.
Yeah, it was a weird game. There were some turnovers on our part. Obviously, we talked about Aaron Rodgers getting injured. The Packers have to immediately bring in their backup. I don't think Brett Hundley is terrible. I actually think he could probably get some value if he went to look somewhere else. Packers aren't going to get rid of him, but it's going to be Brett Hundley moving forward. But, man, it really shows how special Aaron Rodgers was because they don't really have that much to go around him. They have average players around him. I know people are going to scream, well, Jordy Nelson's banged up a lot, and the next best guy is Devontae Adams, which I think he scored a touchdown. But
their offensive linemen, their offensive tackles, I have no idea what's going on there.
There was 7 injuries to Green Bay. I felt really bad for their team because they went through what we went through last year in one game. I think it was 3 defensive backs, 2 tackles, and I can't remember who else went out. But they lost a ton of players Sunday, and I'm sure they'll get some of them back. These all weren't season-ending, but they lost a lot of starters during the game, so they were playing crippled Sunday.
So let's give away our game balls and donkeys, and let's start things out with Mr. Smith.
Oh, man, game balls and donkeys for this game. I'm going to go with I don't know if I'd say this is unpopular, but I definitely was surprised to see such a nice showing from him. LaQuon Treadwell gets my game ball this week because he played wide receiver, caught all of the targets that he was targeted for, and he had a really sweet catch that actually made him look somewhat like what we wanted a year and a half later.
Yeah, he had that highlight reel catch that was real nice.
If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Look for it on Twitter or just type in LaQuon Treadwell versus Green Bay. It was a one-handed catch. Not necessarily Odell Beckham style, but still it was pretty sweet. And he was the second leading receiver, I believe, this week for the team. Yep. Shout out
to 3 times, caught 3 for 51 yards. Nice day for him.
The reason I picked LaQuon Treadwell this week is because Diggs was out. We know Michael Floyd's back, which he did catch a ball, but we need somebody to fill that gap for the number 2. And with Diggs out and Thielen stepping as number 1, which Thielen had a great day too, LaQuon Treadwell did what he was asked to do, even though he didn't get targeted a lot. So shout out to LaQuon Treadwell. I hope you have another game just like that one.
Well, LaQuon Treadwell stepping up was an important one because I think they wanted Kyle Rudolph to be the guy to take the next step up. And he was targeted 9 times and only reeled in 5 for 47 yards. So they needed to find someone else to pick up a little bit of that pressure. And when you're only targeted 3 times and you catch all of them and one of them is one that you shouldn't have caught, you got to be kind of impressed with what LaQuon Treadwell did. Even if 51 yards isn't going to make you a star player, you're not going to get drafted to fantasy football teams that way or anything. But he's coming in and he's playing a role that he needs to play for this team, and it does show that maybe they can put a little bit more faith in him going forward.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, he needed that performance. He needed some kind of performance. Got to be just for the sake of him feeling good about himself. I mean, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, last year that was a big issue. Yeah. I remember Captain Munderland talked on it specifically. He's like, he just needs to build his confidence, man. So when you make a catch like that, you should feel pretty confident in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Mr. West.
I gave mine to Harrison Smith, who continues to be one of the best defenders on this team. And that is saying something because we also have Xavier Rhodes and Everson Griffin out there. Harrison Smith had an 86.9 overall for Pro Football Focus ranking, 3 tackles, 2 assists, and 1 interception, and credited with a 1.5 sack on the game. Another outstanding performance from Harrison Smith.
Yeah, he gets lost in the shuffle because he's that good, and you just expect him to be great, so he doesn't get mentioned as much as he should as a great player. We talk about this all the time.
For him.
These great players that are just having great seasons, but you don't say them enough because you know they're great.
Harrison Smith should be talked about all of the time on ESPN and all the other talk shows for being one of the best defenders in the league, and they just don't. They just don't talk about him.
They really, really don't. And there isn't enough positive things you can say about him, and he was such a key part of this game that it's hard to say the Vikings could even win without him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, since I would usually double up here, and I'd give my game ball to Harrison Smith as well. But I want to change things up. I want to spread the love around. So I'm going to go with Eric Kendricks. I know, again, doesn't have a lot of flashy stats. He wasn't one of the guys that had an interception. He didn't register a sack, but he played at a high level. He had his motor going all game. He was going from sideline to sideline making tackles. He had 11 total tackles on the game, 6 of them solo. And I got to be honest, if I could pick from either team, Blake Martinez was having an amazing game before he left with injury for the Packers. I could not believe how he was making Case Keenum's day so miserable, getting tackles for loss, defending a pass. Blake Martinez was having one heck of a game, but Eric Kendricks was doing a similar job on the Vikings side. So Eric Kendricks got my game ball.
Good choice, Adam.
Well, since we give away game balls, we got to give away donkeys, and I have to go with Mike Zimmer on this one. And special teams, JET McKinnon. What another great day rushing and catching and filling in the void with Dalvin Cook being out. Latavius Murray, he got some touches this game. Not a lot of production, but he was in the mix as well. But we got to figure out something on special teams, and I'm sorry, but I don't think it's the answer. I didn't want to give it a whole group because Adam hates that.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to do something better than that. I don't know if he got switched in between or if Rodney Adams was – who was it? Stacey Cooley or Rodney Adams was returning, but – we got to figure out the special team situation because the special team situation for us, now that Cordero Patterson's gone, is pretty bad.
I am still firmly team touchback.
Team touchback.
And I will always be team touchback.
Hashtag team touchback. The thing is, I don't know if they have the answer on this team for someone who could be doing a better job than what McKinnon is right now. So just take that touchback.
Take that knee. Take it. Oh, man. Let's see, donkeys for this week. It's hard to name a player for a donkey. It really is. I'm looking up and down the list here, and it's not easy to figure out who the weak link on this team was because you want to go – fine, I'll do it. Stacey Coley. Take the knee, Stacey Coley.
Mm-hmm.
Take it. I mean, you aren't Cordero Patterson, and you know what? So far this season, I believe there have only been 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. And very rarely do these teams that are trying to get a score on the kickoffs, do they get back to the 25. Just take the 25. I understand that kickoff returns are one of the most exciting parts of a game. Bringing it back to the house can be so much fun. It's so much energy. But if you don't have the blocking talent out there, if you don't have the explosive player that has shown the ability to be able to do this on a regular basis, don't gamble with field position, especially when you're at home against a division rival and you're not putting them away. Come on.
Yeah, especially since it's moved forward to the 25. I know that seems like not much compared to the used to be at the 20, but if you're guaranteed that every time, because I think it was 2 games ago against Detroit. I mean, we didn't play past like the 15 every time we got the ball. It was crazy. That extra 12, 15 yards that we would get compared to those guys that are trying to be heroes. Nah, I'm sure Kyle's the same way. I'm team touchback all the way.
Now, was it Anthony Barr that headbutted the player after the interception? Was that Barr?
I believe that was Anthony Barr.
Because that was almost donkey worthy if I'd remembered that it was for sure him.
The one thing that I kind of like about this Vikings defense is they're not afraid to show that they have a little bit of attitude and aggression. It's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't don't mess with Vikings defense. Like every now and then, I'm okay with that. Little headbutt here, little headbutt there. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Better than that.
Don't give away 15 yards like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Mike Zimmer, though, because he did say in the presser, I think yesterday or the day after the game, or was it today, Tuesday? Yeah, yesterday, he said, we're not a dirty football team. We'll never be as long as I'm here. So I know no one in the Vikings community is going to say that that was a dirty play, but there are a lot of people outside, especially in the Green Bay area, that are saying that was a dirty hit. It was a
headbutt. The headbutt was dirty.
The headbutt was. Just talking in general, I don't mind this team when they get a little chippy, like you said.
Yeah.
We don't go after people's knees. We don't try to take people out in New Orleans. But, I get it. But is that the headbutt? Is that what got Anthony Barr out? Because we need to talk about that, too, in a little bit.
He had a concussion.
He got a concussion, man. I wonder if he's going to play this Sunday.
I mean, I suppose the concussion could have came from the headbutt. But we don't know for sure.
Yeah, it was after the Xavier Rhodes interception that people celebrating on the sideline, and Anthony Barr got a penalty for 15, I believe, for a headbutt.
Yep.
Which is not what you want to see.
No. Well, my donkey, the announcers this week were terrible. Troy, terrible.
I usually don't mind Tom Brenneman.
I usually don't, but this week he was on his knees for AARON Rodgers. And I understand that is a big story, him getting knocked out of the game like that. But you couldn't talk about anything else. And they were so in the pocket of Green Bay the entire game from that point forward. I was like, oh, that was just terrible.
All right, so I'm sitting on my couch here watching the game. My roommate comes in, and the play happens where I believe it was a pass to Adam Thielen, and the nose of the ball hit the ground, and it was still called a catch. And the announcers talked for about 15 minutes about how Green Bay needed to challenge that.
Before they figured out that they were out of challenges.
And I turned to my roommate, and I'm like, they used 2 challenges. They got the first one right and the second one wrong, so they don't have another challenge. And then they keep saying it, and I look over at her, I was like, how long is it going to take them to figure this out?
It took them a long time. I did not time it, but it took them a long time. I think they went to a commercial break, and they came back from a commercial break before they finally were like, oh, yeah, by the way, this is what happened. They were out of challenges.
And I'm starting to get furious sitting on my couch. I'm like, really, guys?
Every time I hear Troy Aikman, Adam, all I can think is your amazing quote. And you're not wrong about how Troy Aikman is the worst quarterback in the NFL Hall of Fame. And then I'm like, and now he's not even the best former Cowboys quarterback in the announce booth with Tony Romo out there doing an excellent job.
Romo's doing a great job, man.
Yeah.
Doing absolutely fantastic.
I think Phil Simms is going to kill him. Pretty sure we need to watch out for Tony Romo's safety because he's doing such a good job and in such a short amount of time. Phil Simms is going to kill him for Halloween.
All right, so Case Keenum didn't have a fantastic game. 24 for 38, 239 yards, but he didn't need to have a fantastic game. The Vikings defense did a great job. The only time that the Packers scored points were off turnovers. And
too many turnovers this week.
Yeah, ball flopping all over certain kind of directions here. We don't like that stuff. But Keenum passed for 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
And realistically, he should have had like 2 interceptions. There was
some shots.
There was a couple shots that he tried to fit in that he shouldn't have tried to fit in.
Absolutely. Running the ball, JET McKinnon was the most efficient running back of the day. 4.3 yards per carry, carried 16 times for 69 yards. Latavius Murray had 15 carries for 28 yards, average of 1.9, not great. But Case Keenum did have 2 carries for 15, and one of them went for 16 yards. Case Keenum.
Not too bad.
His mobility is very underrated. The Vikings did not have a 100-yard receiver in this game. Adam Thielen caught 9 of his 13 targets, which is pretty amazing when you think about it, for 97 yards. LAQUON TREADWELL was second with 3 catches, 3 targets for 51 yards. Then it was Rudolph catching 5 of 9 for 47. JET McKinnon caught a touchdown on a screen pass that went for 27 yards.
That was a beauty.
It was real nice.
Pass. He had another one taken back, didn't he?
He did.
Penalty? Yeah, that was another. That penalty. that's disappointing. They need to be, especially when you hear Mike Zimmer saying that screens are something that he wants to incorporate more into this offense because he knows how difficult they are to defend. They need to be more disciplined on knowing how to run them correctly if that's something that he wants to do.
It sounds like me in our chat. More screens and slants.
Yeah.
Run my Madden offense, please.
Yeah.
One of the most disappointing performances from the night had to be Michael Floyd, who people were hoping to see step up in a big way, and he ended up only catching one of his 3 targets for 5 yards.
And I believe he got hurt, didn't he?
I don't know.
I thought I read on Twitter that he left the game early with like a leg injury or a pulled muscle or something. I could be making that up. I don't know, but I really thought that's what I read.
Fake news.
Fake news.
2 fumbles during the game. JET McKinnon and Adam Thielen each had one. McKinnon's was lost, which is not good. Thielen is having a strange string of games where he's losing the football, and I don't like to see that. McKinnon's also doing the same. I don't understand these trends here.
I asked Sean Reynolds in the chat, was the calf injury, was that on the receiver that we just talked about that now I can't say his name?
Floyd?
Is that an idiot? Michael Floyd, thank you.
I'm assuming it is. Let's go into talking about the defense. Eric Kendricks led the way with 11 tackles, followed by Trey Waynes with 6, Harrison Smith, Terrence Newman, and Emmanuel Lemur, Everson Griffin with 5, Linval Joseph with 4. Sacks, we've got some pretty nice sacks going on here. Harrison Smith 1.5, Everson Griffin got 1, Linval Joseph got 0.5, Brian Robinson got 1. Total of 4 sacks on the day, which is pretty good. The Packers do have major problems at their offensive tackles positions right now. They've got guys playing hurt, which is never good when you're trying to protect a quarterback, especially one that is just stepping in for Aaron Rodgers and didn't expect to play. So I can kind of understand that there. The Vikings had 6 tackles for a loss. They defended 7 passes, which is a nice number for the Vikings because they usually don't get that high. Let's play a game called Quarterback Hits. How many times do you think the quarterback got hit this game?
I'm cheating.
The Green Bay Packers.
I'm cheating, and I know the answer, and it's a lot.
I don't know, 12?
13.
Ooh, 13.
Wow.
5 of them came from Brian Robinson. He was making that day miserable.
He had a game.
Mr. Brett Hundley
talked about it in the presser yesterday. He said he had a very, very good game. And some people like myself were worried when Danielle Hunter took the starting role. Brian Robinson would take a decline. But much like James Harrison over at Pittsburgh, you get a little older, it means you don't play as much, but you're fresh when you get thrown in there. So Brian Robinson still has his presence felt.
I like that. I wish more veterans would allow themselves to slide into that veteran role, like what B-Rob is doing. Because, hey, you might not get the opportunity every game, but when you do get it, you can go out there and you can have excellent games like that instead of going the route of, if I'm not a starter, I'm just going to retire. Well, why not stick around and be a role player on these teams?
I could see him coming up with a major play in a crucial game for us with this kind of role. So that's pretty sweet to see.
Absolutely. I love the depth and, just the weird situations the Vikings can throw at opposing quarterbacks with so many great pass rushers and big bodies, athletic linebackers, and excellent players in the secondary. It's a great, great, great situation to have if you're a defensive-minded head coach. And keep in mind, too, Anderson Dejo was out for this game. So they didn't have, their rangy safety back in the back to keep tabs on everything deep.
To tip a pass and make it a touchdown for the other team. I'm sorry, I like Andrew Sandejo. He's a hard hitter. I'm just messing around.
Hey, those kind of things will happen. They definitely will. And if you get a chance, check out Andrew Sandejo on Vikings Karaoke this week. He's got a song from the Moana soundtrack that he's going to he belts out, and it's something.
The what soundtrack? Moana. What the hell is that?
It's an animated movie about a Polynesian girl.
Is that the one with the rock?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you say the animated movie with the rock? I don't know what you're talking about.
I tell you. Unfortunately, I did know what he was talking about. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it way more than I want. But if you guys are cool with it, I want to talk about the social media question because we got a lot of people that interact.
We've got more stats to go.
Oh, we got more stats. All right.
Yeah, we got 3 interceptions to talk about here as well.
I'm sorry. We didn't talk about special teams either. I'm just going to shut up now.
Yeah, we're working through this here. We got Harrison Smith, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, each with an interception. And isn't it a ton of fun that Trey Waynes once again put away the Green Bay Packers at US Bank Stadium?
Yeah, I kind of love that.
That's kind of fun.
Why do people gotta hate Trey Wayne so much? He gets an interception, and then people are like, "But it was a garbage interception."
He said
bullshit.
Leading tackler of the day, and all of his tackles were solo, and one was for loss. Pass defended and an interception. But we should trade away Trey Waynes because he's awful.
This is a garbage interception. It don't count.
Oh, I love when Mr. West gets riled up. It's so good.
Oh.
But if teams aren't passing Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes is going to get the attention. It's going to happen. So, yeah, he's going to be targeted a lot. He's going to give up some yards. He's going to give up some passes. And, yeah, he's not quite at the level of Xavier Rhodes. He's not. But you know what? He's not a garbage can.
Shit. I mean, I hate to get back on that, but no shit, he's not at the level of Xavier Rhodes. He's like the fucking best quarterback in the league. What do you guys expect from Trey Waynes? Good God.
And Trey Waynes is one of the most sure tacklers that I have ever watched play as a cornerback. He's got that Antoine Winfield tackling fuel that you love to see.
tackling fuel.
Oh.
His tackling fuel, that tank is never empty.
I would buy that. I would buy that on a t-shirt.
I'm watching The Waterboy tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's got the tackling fuel, man.
Mackenzie, hey, here's a good comment from Sean Reynolds. Mackenzie Alexander has stepped up big time too, and that is very good. Very good observation.
Yeah, as I've said before, he's going to make mistakes this year. He's going to. He's stepping into a bigger role. He's still learning to be less physical, kind of like Trey Waynes is. And it's going to take some time. It took Xavier Rhodes time. But they have the right coaching staff and players there to make these players very good.
Fun fact, Mike Zimmer talked about it again. I'm going to talk because I love this press conference he did. They played the whole game in nickel defense. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
How awesome was the end of that press conference? The part where they asked him if Rodney Adams is going to be active.
Do you think Rodney Adams could be an answer on special teams? Well, he'd have to be activated first. Do you think there's a chance Rodney Adams will be activated?
Well, he could. Is my 7 minutes up? Yeah. And then he just walks off.
So great.
He is the poor man's Bill Belichick when it comes to these press conferences, and he is my favorite.
All right, so Stacey Coley had one kickoff return for 19 yards, which Marcus Sherrill's one punt return, -5 yards.
Tell us how you really feel.
Not good. Hey, Kai Forbath, 3 field goals, all good, 1 from 53. Gotta love that. Made both extra points. Sweet. Ryan Quigley had 4 punts. The average looks a little low at 38.8, but 3 of them were inside the 20, and 1 went for 54. So you got to give some and take some. So overall, not horrible.
We got a fun fact from Thomas Buge, who says Trey Waynes is statistically the best run-defending cornerback in the league.
Right, I was talking about that last week. Pro Football Focus was
he's
praising him, just as John Gruden was saying that he would run the ball at Trey Waynes every time.
Well, that's why John Gruden's in the announce booth.
Nope. Trey Waynes is awful. We need to trade him. We need to go get another quarterback. Let's trade Trey Waynes right now.
Tackling fuel.
Tackling fuel.
So let's dive into that social media question now.
Social media question. You guys were so active in this, and I love it. Last week I asked you, what's the Vikings quarterback situation going forward, since we found out Sam Bradford looked terrible against the Bears and he left the game. A is Case Keenum. B is Sam Bradford healthy. C is Teddy Bridgewater if healthy. And D is week to week. See what happens. Had a lot of Teddy Bridgewater answers. Danny Yang, Josh Johnson, our local favorite, Tommy Gunn. A lot of people want to see Teddy back. I think we've already beat that into the ground. He's not going to play just yet. Maybe later on in the year in the second half, but we'll see. Some good answers, though. Some real well-thought-out answers here. Chuck Holcomb says, Case Keenum for right now, without a doubt. He's played well. Give Sam some more time. Perhaps bring him back after the bye week. Watch Teddy very carefully in practice. We actually have 3 really good quarterbacks. It's just a shame 2 of them have serious knee issues. We need to look hard at the draft class coming up. I'm not going to say you're wrong. And like we talked about last week on the show, won't beat this around too much. No quarterback besides Kyle Slaughter is locked into next year. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go going forward. Hashtag Kirk Cousins, come on to Minnesota. What up? I just want to piss Kyle off. Paul Gruber has a novel that I can't read all the way down, so I'm sorry, Paul, but I appreciate you going through. I'm just trying to speed through this. John Whistler says, I would go A. If the losses start to accumulate, then either go with Slaughter or Bridgewater, evaluate moving forward. Not sure if the 2018 quarterback is even on the team yet. You're not wrong. This is not what we thought we were going to be talking about last year going into this year. This is crazy. Zimmer will combine Teddy and Sam, so we get one quarterback with two good knees. Seriously, though, I'm hoping Teddy comes back and healthy and he can ball out. John Dosel, I like that comment. We'll put them both together. We'll make a Franken quarterback.
There you go.
And Eric Grindal says Keenum could grow on us if we put together a nice win streak going into the bye. I agree. I don't ever predict wins against teams and just say they're automatic because, fun fact, the last time we played the Cleveland Browns, they beat us. So, yeah, the Ravens are trending down. They're kind of sloppy, and the Browns haven't won a game. So I have full faith that Case Keenum can rally because it's a home game, and then we're going to London, so it doesn't count against our home games. So we're 1-0 in London so far, so I'm really happy about that. So Case Keenum, I agree with it. I think we should go forward with him until somebody is concrete, without a doubt, 100% healthy, and then let them fight for the spots to see who gets the starting job. And who knows? Maybe Teddy will come back fully healthy because I'm going to assume that Sam Bradford's done for the year. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But let's say Teddy comes back fully healthy. We're not sure if he's going to be able to beat Case Keenum out. That's not even a guarantee. So we'll see. But thank you guys for interacting. We had 16 people. Usually we have like
awesome.
6. So,
yeah, next week the Minnesota Vikings are hosting the Baltimore Ravens. This is a noon game on Sunday. Baltimore right now is a team that's really struggling to find their identity offensively. They poured a lot of money into Joe Flacco in that offense, and they are not seeing results. Meanwhile, they've drafted a lot of players defensively that just haven't panned out the way they had hoped. And they are definitely a team looking to figure out who they are and find out what works. The Vikings are going to have an interesting time because right now Mike Zimmer has said that they have not ruled Sam Bradford out for this game, although if I were to be a betting man, my money would be on Case Keenum starting this game almost no matter what. I'd put a nice amount of money on it. But again, as Mr. Smith said, you can't look past any team. They are a professional football team for a reason. There are some really talented players on both sides of the ball that just have the potential to have breakout games. They can run the ball well at times, and they can be a threat. I mean, don't look past Baltimore in this game. And with the Vikings on top of the NFC North right now, and with the extremely, extremely early projections of them being the number 2 seed in the NFC right now, you don't want to give any of that up.
I'm hoping we can finish strong. Like I said, these are 2 of the weaker teams in the league, but that doesn't mean that they can't give us trouble and aggravate us. But if we can play our game and be smart, I love the fact that we're playing at home next week. There's a solid chance that we can go 6-2 in the bye week, which will set us up really nice compared to last year at this point in time where we're starting to fall off the mountain. So we'll see. But I believe it's at 1 Eastern Sunday, which sucks because I'm going to probably miss it. But, yeah. 1 o'clock Sunday, the Ravens come into Minnesota. They're gonna put up a fight. So, good for you guys to check it out. I had to check and see if it's on Fox. I believe it's on Fox.
Oh yeah, that'll be a Fox game, I believe.
Doesn't it feel nice to have an actual home field advantage again?
Oh, absolutely.
For the first time in a long time, like the Vikings have a true home field advantage in US Bank Stadium. So, shout out to all the fans who attend and get nice and loud, and that really makes it difficult on opposing teams.
Last year, when I went to the game between the Packers and the Vikings, the Packer fans were very loud. You could hear, their chant, which I'm not going to say because
it's a Viking
you could hear the opposing team's chant, and it was really disheartening because you are at the Viking Stadium. Apparently, from what I understand, that was not a problem during this game. Mike Zimmer even said that the crowd was very loud and very, very helpful for the team. And when you can get that kind of assistance from your franchise, from the stands, that's fantastic.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want from Vikings fans. When we go play in Lambeau Field, I want to hear that skull chant going in Lambeau.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Into the game, fourth quarter, when we're beating them, when we're up by 2-3 scores, let's get that skull chant going.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That would be pretty nice.
Yeah, because like you said, we've heard the Go Pack Go so many times in, the old Metrodome or whatever, because you got to hand it to Packer fans.
Oh, yeah, they travel very well.
With their team. Yes. So Vikings fans, I think we need to do the same.
You can't fix stupid.
All right, so let's talk about the Podcast Survival League because it took another nice little turn this week.
Oh, what happened?
6 more teams were eliminated this week.
Holy crap.
Yeah, the Denver Broncos gave people a big old run for their money. And there are, let's see how many teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that are in danger of being eliminated next week if they pick wrong, which is scary. Only 2 teams remain with 0 strikes, the Aussie Viking and the Three Peters.
I hate you, Craig.
We're kidding.
I don't have a reason. I hate you.
How is he so good at survival? I don't understand that.
Is he like Rick Spielman? Have we actually confirmed that he's not like Rick Spielman?
I don't know.
Do we know?
I don't know how he lasts so long into a season without getting any wrong. I pick a team and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'd say I'm 90% sure this team's going to win. And nope, I got 2 strikes already. All of my friends that signed up that I told to sign up are out. Every one of them. It's an absolute mess. But it is open this week for you guys to make your picks.
I like this, though.
Hop on in there, make your selection. It won't be much longer. Week 13 is when you will need to pick 2 survivors instead of 1. And that's when it's going to get extra hairy for those that are just dominating their way through. I do have to call someone out, though, because I remember in the chat last week, someone said that if they were going to go out, they were going to go out with a big bang and pick the Vikings, and nobody picked the Vikings this week.
Oh.
So whoever that was, they pulled the wool over our eyes.
Did anybody pick Green Bay?
Let's see. We got here are the strikes that were handed out. Denver, 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 Baltimore, Atlanta, Denver, 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 Atlanta, Atlanta.
Damn, Denver really did screw over our fantasy league.
Yeah, people wanted Denver to win, I tell you.
Yeah, well.
Nobody in their right mind picked New York to go into Denver and beat them.
No.
No, not at all. I was shocked.
You know what, though? That's what keeps the NFL interesting. You never any team can beat anyone at any time.
Oh, it was
Unless
Eric Grendel.
Oof.
Oh.
That sucks. Sorry,
he was the guy that said he was going to pick the Vikings and never did. Okay, we'll forgive you this time.
Well, before we wrap everything up, I have 2 things for the end of the week. We kind of already hit on the Teddy Bridgewater thing. I was going to go on a little rants about that, but not really too much to know. You guys will see more of them as the season progresses. Number 1, I told you guys last week I was going to start a music thing. So I got a song of the week I want you guys to check out. It's right here. It's been here this whole time of the show. Just some stuff that I like. Maybe you like it too. The second thing literally just ran out of my mind. So before we go, hopefully I'll remember it. But song of the week right here. If you guys want to check it out.
Halloween themed, too, I assume.
Yeah, it says Jason Isabel or something like that. I don't know.
Jason Isbell. So you guys know that have followed me closely. I love Chris Stapleton, so I try to branch out from that and not learn just his stuff or his stuff. This is more of Americana rock, and I actually heard it on Dan Le Batard, which is really weird. I know of this guy, but they said this is probably the coolest love song we've heard in a long time. It's not like those I love you, I miss you, butterfly kisses songs. talking about people dying and how it would be a hard time away. So it's a different perspective on a love song, and it's become pretty much his biggest hit on this latest album. So if you guys want to check it out, it's pretty sweet. And I'm really sad that we lost Tom Petty recently. What the hell, man? It's been a crazy year for music.
There. I'm updating mine with the song. There we go.
Oh, okay.
I'll go with the
This is a good
Smiths.
one.
Gotta love the Smiths. Every day is like Sunday. Because I wish it was, because football Sundays with The Walking Dead coming back are the best. Seriously, is there a day of the week better than Sunday?
There really isn't. Usually you don't work. There's football, and I can usually eat like a total and complete asshole that day, so it's pretty good.
Oh, Sundays are so good.
I did remember, now that we've got it, I have two things of breaking news if you guys haven't heard. One is actually basketball news. It has nothing to do with the Vikings, but I wanted to let sports fanatics like myself know. Number one, NFL news. Ezekiel Elliott was suspended yesterday. Now it's been overturned. I found another weird loophole, so now he's got another restraining order out, so he's still going to be playing, which is really weird. The NFL, once again, doesn't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to players and discipline. Ezekiel Elliott found a loophole. Not going to get into that one because we're not a Cowboys podcast, but in case you were wondering. And this was kind of a big acquisition in the NBA in the offseason. Gordon Hayward just snapped his leg on live television.
Yeah, I was just looking at that on Twitter.
His ankle was
Holy crap.
the other way. It was absolutely terrible. So in the sport,
That is not the way your leg is supposed to bend.
So what team does that guy play for, and what does he do?
So he's with the Celtics, where Kyrie Irving just went as part of a huge acquisition off the offseason. Not them together, but individual pieces that the Celtics picked up. Now one of their star players is, I don't know how he's going to bounce back from that. Maybe he'll come back for the playoffs, but nasty, nasty hit. Just got the update. So if you guys are NBA fans, now you know.
And we'll stay as much out of the politics as we can, but there was an owners meeting today about the national anthem, kneeling and stuff, and they were unable to reach a compromise, which is no shock. So we're going to get a lot more of this going forward. But as we said, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because nothing really happened from it.
Surprise, surprise.
But I want to close things out by reminding people to check out the Viking Age. I write articles over there. I just got done, before I did this show, I wrote an article about the power rankings, where the experts have them, how much they moved them up or down in the power rankings and why. And I like it. It's one of the fun pieces of the week where I can see why experts think that the Vikings are getting better or worse each week and what performances are important to them and everything. I think they're very interesting. And I hope you guys do too. I think next week or tomorrow I'm doing, what am I doing tomorrow? The hell if I remember. But I've got my schedule articles that I always do. And if you're a regular reader, you'll read them anyway, I hope. Fingers crossed. But we've always got cool stuff going on over there. We've got lots of good rumors, game grades, analysis, reviews. I'm really proud of my game reviews over there. I always have a lot of fun doing them. And I think they're insightful, or at least I hope they are, if not entertaining. So fingers crossed you guys enjoy those. But also we've got The Walking Dead Season 8 starting up. After the Vikings game on Sunday, stay settled in. If you're not going to go see TLC in Minneapolis, which is going to be an excellent pay-per-view from what I've seen, I highly recommend you check out The Walking Dead Season 8. And you can send me some messages on Twitter and let me know what you think. Meanwhile, check out Mr. Smith's music channel. You can check out Mr. West's other podcast page. Because you got a blog/podcast page, right?
Yes, I do. Attackoftheblog.net.
There you go. And on that note, I'd like to, on behalf of Mr. West, that empty chair, and myself, I'd like to wish you guys a happy Viking season, and I hope you'll come back again. Check us out, Facebook, Twitter, PodOMatic, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iTunes. If I said that already, I don't know if I did or not. But we're all over the place. You can check us out. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming on in, saying hello, joining us in the chat, hitting like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And stay classy, Minnesota.